Hi, and welcome to the Electronic Show. As you can see, I've got an entirely new studio setup, professional microphone, a better camera, lots of more lights and everything. And that's going to be great because we're going to make a lot of experiments here on this show in the future. It's been taking a while in order to get here, but it's been worth it. You know, it's not easy making a YouTube show. You have to think about so many different things. You have to think about the right light setting, you have to think about where all the components go and where do I sit and do you guys hear it clear enough? And there's a lot of post-processing involved as well in order to make it clean and easy to watch, pleasing to the eye and pleasing to the ear as well. So I've been putting a lot of work into this, so it's going to pay off, I think. Anyway, I hope you're going to watch my show in the future, so stay tuned.
The Electronic Show, sourcing your components.
Alright, in this first episode of the Electronic Show, we're going to talk about how to get components cheap without breaking your budget. We all have this electronics hobby in common, and for those of you who want to start up, you want to get a lot of components for your collection so you can build stuff at home, you probably want to go out and get some components. Well, luckily for you, components are not as expensive as they used to be back in the 80s. Back in the 80s when I was a kid, it used to cost like $30 to $40 just to build a single small project. It could be an alarm, it could be a small radio, anything like that. Today, for $30 or $40, you can get a whole lot of components on eBay or some electronics store that's just about to close down. Maybe your local radio amateur club, ham club, etc. You can talk to the radio amateurs there and they can help you find components for cheap. And I'm going to show you a couple of those basic things you're going to need to start off with. First of all, when you do experiments, you want to start off with a breadboard. A breadboard is like a board where you can put components into, like this. I'll take this electrolyte and bend it like this. Put it in here. And it will stick to the board. And you can connect all kinds of components to it and make your circuit and test it here and see if it works, without any soldering skills at all. This is very useful. For experimenting and trying to find out how a circuit works, this is absolutely essential. And on eBay, you can get these for a couple of dollars. They're really cheap, and if you want some stronger ones with a metal plate on the backside, or maybe a couple of power connectors, you have to be prepared to pay about $20, but it's definitely worth it. You're going to need one of these. All right. And you're going to need a bunch of resistors, like these. I would recommend getting a reel of each resistor, or an assorted component selection. An assorted component selection on eBay will usually set you back about $20, but in return you will probably get around 5,000 to 7,000 resistors. That ought to keep you busy during all the winter and all the summer as well if you prefer to stay indoors with your hobby. You're also going to need some of these. These are a PCB, where you can solder your components directly onto them. You know, there are small holes in them. These just happen to be 5 by 7 centimeters. And they're very useful and very cheap. I bought 100 pieces for about $30 or something like that. So it's really cheap. Enough to last me a lifetime, I think. I went to a local electronics store that just went bust, and I got hundreds of these little boxes for just pocket change. So if you look around, you can find a lot of stuff in your local electronics stores, because there's a lot of electronic stores that doesn't sell components anymore because it doesn't pay to repair anything anymore. So people don't buy components anymore. That's why. So eBay is a great place to find these things. I also got a bunch of displays. These are the standard 44 series compatible displays that you can connect to any microcontroller you want to. It's got a microcontroller of its own, so all you need to do is to send some 4 or 8-bit data to it to write to the screen, either graphics or text. And I think you can buy these for like $5 on eBay, maybe even cheaper. I got a lot of them, much cheaper than that, with backlight and everything. And one thing you don't want to do when you go to eBay, you don't want to buy batteries too many in bulk. You don't want to buy like 100 batteries. Take a look at this, for instance. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. I'm going to show it to you later. Like this. There is a lot of batteries that are already gone bad just after half a year. They got this white stuff on it, you know, they're leaking, and it's not really great. But it was cheap, so I took a chance. So what? Speakers, You can get a lot of speakers. Unfortunately, these ones with big magnets, they weigh a lot. So they're going to cost you a lot in shipping. So try to get those locally or pick them out of a radio or something. Something discarded, some old discarded electronics. You can find a lot of pulls there. You can find a lot of electronics you can take from that. Another thing you want to get on eBay is cheap and very practical and convenient are these leads that you can use on a breadboard. These are breadboard leads and breadboard wires. They come with some strong contact points there, as you can see. And that's useful to be reusing these again and again and again instead of having to make your own. And they're really cheap, so you can buy them by the hundreds, thousands if you like. And you'll never need another connection point again because they're practical. Did I show you everything? Yeah. This one is a multi-turn. This is a Burns multi-turn. This one happened to be about 500 ohms, half a K. These are really expensive on eBay. You have to pay like between 15 and 40 bucks for something like this. They actually usually sell for 40 bucks. I was lucky enough to get this from a closed down electronics store. I have a lot of components. I mean, I got hundreds, if even that can do it. As you can see, there's tons of them there already. I've got different values. Actually, I've got millions of components in this place. But it has taken me 10 years to collect all of those things. And I'm trying to give you a good idea where you can get components to start your hobby or fill up your shelves. And the easy and cheap way to do it is basically just to know some radio amateur or some electronics freak and just hang around and see if they're willing to part with some of their components for a cheap bucks. Maybe you can swap parts. The good thing is to buy a whole bunch of components so you have a lot to share with your friends. If you do that, you can swap the components with other friends, and then you don't have to have 100 or 1,000 of exactly the same component. So this is pretty handy. And of course, all the components I've been showing you here are so-called discrete components, which means they are the old-fashioned through-hole components. The way they used to make stuff in the olden days, the way they were used to make radios and computers. Today they use SMD components and integrated circuits, basically. But these are easy for you to work with. As a beginner, this is really essential. And it's just like building with Lego. It will teach you how electronics work. You will be able to make endless experiments. You'll be able to have a good start on your hobby. And it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. Of course, if you do decide to go on the net and buy reels of components, like SMD components like these are really too small to be shown here in the camera. But in a roll like this, there could be like 3,068 nanofarad capacitors. And you don't really need 3,000 of those. Of course, if you get them on the local radio amateur market or something like that, a local Ham Spirit, Ham Fest or whatever, then pick them up if you get them for $1 or $2 each, because you can always swap them later. You can cut them off and swap them with other people for other values later. So it's always handy to have. But you don't really need to buy these on eBay because it's usually 10 or 20 bucks just for one reel. If you're going to have like 3,000 or 2,000 reels or something like that, and it's going to cost you way too much money. But you can buy assorted SMD component sets on eBay. I know those sell for pretty cheap. You can get those for like 30 or 40 bucks for several thousand values. Usually 10 to 100 of each value. I think I have a kit here I can show you. Yeah, I think it's here. Let's see if I can find it. No, it's not here. There you go. Here's one right there. You can see there's a lot of reels been cut up in here and collected in this box. You can buy a lot of those smaller boxes with a lot more components too on eBay if you want to. It's a smart way to save money. It's not going to cost you half. It's not going to cost you a lot. So hopefully this will get you started. In the next episode, we're going to talk about building various stuff. And we're also going to talk about how to use various instruments. We're going to test various instruments. We're going to take a look at weird gadgets. We're going to take a look at all kinds of instruments. I can't guarantee you what will be in the next episode, but it will be something like that. So hopefully you'll click like on the like button down here and tune in and subscribe So I'll see you next time. Have fun with your hobby.